Just think about it. How many of you take your work home with you? You don't have to answer. Just give me a virtual nod. A virtual nod. How many of you have to take your work home with you? I don't necessarily mean picking up the files, packing it in your bag and bringing it home and then, taking it all out and putting it down on the dressing table and start working on it. I don't mean it literally in that way. But today you can carry your work with you just on your mobile device. And even if you didn't do that, it's all up here. When you go to bed at night, what do you think about? Kissing your children goodnight, or the meeting that you have tomorrow with your next prospective buyer, or your next client, or the work meeting that has to take place and the decisions that you have to make on behalf of your company, your workplace, before they give you that next promotion, or that juicy bonus that you get at the end of the year. So we don't have time for our children now. We only have time to bring children into this world. What we don't have time is to bring them up. You got me started now. You know how big a problem drugs is out there? It's just getting worse and worse by the day. I only know about it because I hear stories from you, from the people who visit us at the monastery. Because we don't do drugs at the monastery. But outside the four walls of the monastery, things happen apparently. And people come and tell horror stories. Drugs is just one problem taking over. It's a big problem nonetheless. It's destroying your children right from the inside. And once it becomes an addiction, there's no saving them. Rehabilitation centers of these days, they do try, but unfortunately, something about their methods is not working. 60%, 70% of all drug addicts relapse. That's a huge number. 70% relapse. Half of all of the prisoners in the prisons are in there because of crimes related to drugs. If I spoke to the mother of one of those men in the prison today, young men in the prison today, before the boy was imprisoned, and I told her, "Mother, think about your child. You brought the child into this world, but do you have the time to teach him right from wrong? Share values." She'd probably have said, "I'm too busy, Swami Mahansa. I'm too busy. I feed him, what else do you want me to do? I give him shelter, what else do you want me to do? I have to earn so I can pay his mobile phone bill. I give him a good education, what else do you want me to do? I send him to a good school, the best in town. I'm teaching him so that one day he can migrate, maybe to go to another country, settle down there and become a well sought after professional, top of his profession. That's what I wanted him to do. I want him to become a doctor, an engineer, a scientist, a lawyer, a professor. That's what I want him to become. So I'm too busy. Where do I have the time to take him to the temple? How might you expect me to have the time to sit him down and talk to him about how he spent his day at school today? I ask you parents, how often do you, when your child gets back from school, sit him or her down over a cup of tea maybe and ask her, "How did you spend your day at school today, Puda? What happened?" How many of you have the time to do that? No one loves your child as much as you do. So when your child is at school, he's sat next to or she sat next to a child who might have all sorts of problems. Drugs is just one. Do you know how pornography is sweeping across the nation? It's just everywhere. Why? You need the mobile phone. You can't survive without it today, can you? We have become so dumb that we can't exist without a smartphone. I'm not saying we've got to do away with them, because we cannot. It would be impractical of me to even suggest something so absurd like that, to say, well, let's just all switch off our mobile phones and just go back to the ice age. I'm not even suggesting that. What I'm suggesting is, I'm just pointing out a problem that is rife, a problem that is like cancer. It's eating you from the inside and you don't even know it until one day you just drop dead. And then it's too late. I didn't expect to talk to you about this so soon, but I don't think the world can wait. Drugs, sex, and pornography. It is destroying our youth. By our youth, ladies and gentlemen, I mean your children. Because you don't have the time to think. You don't have the time to think about your children. Because you're far too busy in your lives. And besides, the things that you have to think about today are not the things that are going to save your children. That's the other main reason. Yes, we need to give our children a good education so that they can compete with the rest of the world, right? We can't take a back step and not compete with the world out there. We need to do that. I agree with all that. But in the midst of all that, we must not forget that if we forget, or if we leave out, if we ignore instilling in our children a value set, virtues, principles, morals, integrity, we will not have a child left to become a doctor. Ask any parent whose child is today in a prison cell and ask them, did you think this was going to happen a year before it did? And they'll say no. Now I ask you, do you think it's going to happen to you? What's the answer? No way, Swami. No answer? No way. I know my child. He's the apple of my eye. I know my child. Okay, for those who think you know your child, let me ask you a question. Did your parents know you? Did your parents know everything you got up to? Did your parents know all the friends you kept? All the secrets that you shared? All the places you went? And I'm talking about when you were a child, perhaps 20 years ago. Things were very different back then. Today, we are so advanced that when we want something, you don't have to wait for it. We talked about this last week. You don't have to wait for it. And everything is so readily available, all you have to do is just press a button. I'm asking you to wake up to the reality that is sweeping across our nation, and unfortunately, your children are in the way. If you don't teach them to guard themselves, to protect themselves, if you just don't find the time to have that chat with them, I mean, if that's the only thing you can do, I ask you to do that. When they get back home from school, at least once a week, ladies and gentlemen, please take some time to talk with them and ask them, what did you get up to at school today? this week? How did it go? What did your friends say? What are you talking about? What's going on in school these days? Otherwise, you'll live to regret. So many parents come and talk to us. So many parents. And you'd think that those parents are parents who are, they struggle to make ends meet. Not necessarily. Let me give you a fact. See if this makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. By this point, in the last 6 years of my monkhood, I have met many people who've come to me as they wanted to commit suicide. Young people. When you listen to their stories, to this date, none of them have been stories where they wanted to commit suicide because they were poor. They couldn't make ends meet. They couldn't feed their families. No. Sometimes it was because of the embarrassment caused by their children, because the children went straight. And if you keep on digging, you realize parents just didn't have the time to correct them when it was possible. Some because the children have done drugs. You start doing it, you can't stop it. That is how drugs are designed to work. It becomes an addiction. You can't stop it. Others, they get into relationships. And those relationships, if you don't know how to work a relationship, you shouldn't be in one. If you don't know how to operate a car, you wouldn't get in one, right? But people who have no idea how to work a relationship, they get into one soon after they turn 18. Well, that was in my time, but now, soon after they turn 6? Ask your 6-year-old. Ask your 6-year-old, do you have an affair? She might not know what an affair is. But she'll tell you that there's someone she fancies. Trust me, she won't ask you before she starts that relationship. Please don't think I'm insulting you as parents. What I'm trying to do is to try and save your children. Because, that is everything for you, isn't it? Everything you do, everything you want to do, everything you sacrifice, you do so for your children. I'm saying it's not just enough to teach them, feed them, give them shelter, build them a good future. You need to take care of their minds. Because the mind is an animal on its own, ladies and gentlemen. When the mind wants something, it will go get it, either by hook or by crook.